Hi everyone, thank you again for joining us for this week's episode of Waggin Wednesday, where we talk with our training and enrichment team on various training and behavior questions that you as pet parents might have. So again, this week we have Sven joining us. Hi Sven.
Hello.
So Sven, this week we're going to be talking about crate training. So can you explain a little bit on how you can starting to get your pet crate trained?
Michelle, I can do you one better. I have a brand new puppy at home, and I'm actually crate training her as we speak. And I have a couple videos I want to put up to help for a visual with crate training.
Awesome. So we're going to show those now.
This week, we will be discussing crate training. I thought this would be a great subject because I also have a new puppy in my house.
These here are just a few of the items that you can use to help get your puppy used to the crate.
So Sven, can you explain a little bit on what happened in those videos that you showed us?
Yes, absolutely. So I like to do crate training in stages, especially with puppies. What I did in the first video there is I kind of showed a couple tools that could help assist in crate training. The second video there that we showed, what I did is I allowed the puppy to kind of get used to the flooring of the crate. It could be the airline kennel, the plastic crate such as I have right there in the house, or it could be a wire crate. The wire crates you can't really take apart too much, but you can take the flooring out, introduce the dog to the new flooring, and then I tossed a couple of treats in there and let her get used to that flooring during the second video. All right, so in the third video there that you saw, I had put the top onto the kennel. It made the environment a little bit darker. She did great going in there. Already used to going in there and getting the treats. The next video, what I did is I added another element. I put a door on. By now, she's already used to going in to retrieve those treats and toys and whatever else I put in there. And she's comfortable with going in and out. So what I did is I wanted her to want to go into the kennel. So by placing that door on there and keeping it closed, you can see that she paused the door a little bit, and then I let her go into the crate in the next video. So what this does is it motivates the dog. The dog wants to be in the crate.
The treats are in there.
Yeah, that's where she gets her treats. And the videos to follow, what I did is I didn't hold her in the crate for too long during these exercises. So I allowed her to go in, get the treats, play with the toys a little bit, and then I allowed her to come back out. So she knows that when she goes in the crate, it's not every time you go in the crate, you have to be in there for hours on end or at any length of time. So what this allows the pup, in particular, to go in and out of the crate and get her used to the crate in the first place.
So this is a process, right? This isn't, it's a little bit difficult to see because they were short clips and you kind of showed the progress of it, but what's kind of the length of time that you crate train your pet? Is it, within 30 minutes or is it a few days, a few weeks?
So what I like to do is I do like 5-minute training sessions. So I do 3 to 4 a day, and I take 5 minutes out of my day and I go over crate training with her. And just to get the puppy used to the crate is the initial one. After that, I'll do 5 minutes of of allowing her to go in and out of her crate, pawing at the gate. And then what I'll do is, as you've seen in the last video, is I place the crate in a common room that people frequent. And then I allow her to be in her crate for 5-10 minutes at a time.
Alone.
And yes, in her alone zone. So that's a place where she can go to herself and wind down a little bit. Puppies, they sleep a lot, and if they're awake too much, and they're like children with that, if they don't want to go to sleep and stuff like that, they can get a little cranky sometimes. I know even in the middle of the day, I'll put my puppy in the crate, and within 5 minutes she's sleeping. So they do need a lot of sleep. So that's a time for her that she can just wind down a little bit in the crate while I watch TV, my other dogs walk around and stuff like that.
Those are some great tips, Finn. And I mean, you have a puppy, so it's a little bit easier to train a puppy to be crate trained, right? What happens if you have an adult dog? Let's say you adopted a shelter pet, and they might be afraid of the crate. How do you kind of make it a better experience for them?
With an adult dog that might have negative experiences with the crate in the past, we don't know their history. I would approach it generally the same way. Is I'd make the crate something rewarding. First by tossing in treats, and you have to allow the dog to determine the value of those treats. Some dogs will go in with just kibble or some of the training treats. Other dogs, you might have to use some of the other tools that were shown in the video, like a licky plate or a stuffed Kong or something like that the dog really enjoys. Boiled chicken.
Yeah.
And then again, with the adult dogs, I would even be more conscious of how comfortable they are going in and out of the crate and spending that short periods of time in the crate. And I don't want them to get too stressed out in the crate while they're in there. And always make sure that while they're in there for that 5-10 minutes intervals, to treat and reward them while they're being calm, and even when they have like a licky plate or a Kong in there, make sure that you go up there and reward them and let them know that they're doing a great job for settling down in that crate. Because
you got to kind of re-hardwire their brain to let them know that this is okay to be in that crate, right?
Yes, so it's always more difficult to retrain per se that experience than it is to do it the initial time.
But it's possible.
Yes, it is. Yes, absolutely. Just patience
and making sure that they have, good experiences, right? You don't want to use a crate as punishment. I know, me personally, before I knew a lot about, animal welfare and dog behavior and cat behavior and everything, I probably have a lot of experiences like many of you out there that, you kind of associate the crate as like a timeout or a punishment or something like that. Like a little kid, if a little kid misbehaves, you put them in a timeout in the corner. I know I've done that in the past with my pet, and then they kind of see it as a negative experience going into that crate, and it's not an alone zone. It's not fun to be in that crate anymore once you kind of determine it as...
I think we've all been there. I know I have in the past and stuff like that. When you're frustrated with a dog, you're frustrated with the situation. But what we really have to do is, during that time when we're frustrated, we have to try to compose ourselves, be a neutral element, allow them to go into the crate willingly, not forcing them into that crate. We can motivate them with treats and stuff like that and toys. Once they're in the crate, we can close the crate, we can walk away and take our frustrations out on a pillow or something like that. But to put the dog in the crate while you're frustrated like that and to take it out of the dog, it's only going to create a negative environment for that dog.
And then they're just not going to want to go in there. They're not going to want that alone zone. It's not going to be a safe space for them. That's why it's really important to talk about how to properly crate train your pet and making sure it's a safe, comfortable space for them, right?
Yes, at the beginning too, we want to make sure it's a routine. So they come out of the crate and they go outside, and then when they come in the crate, What I don't like to do is have them be actively playing, and then we take them and bring them right into the crate, because then they're having a blast, outside or inside playing, and then they're being put in the crate, and that may be perceived to them as like a timeout. So allow them to calm down and stuff like that before you place them in the crate. But that's what I do with my dogs anyways. So especially with a new dog or a puppy, what I like to do is, puppies more so than anything else, is I like to do a brief training session. Take that time when they come back in from play, have them, sit, lay down, stand up, come when called, stuff like that. And then you place them in the crate. And it's kind of a form of latent learning where they can kind of go in there and kind of reflect on what they just learned. And it helps them calm down mentally beforehand while you're training them, and it sets it up for a good time in the crate.
And so I saw in one of those videos you had a Kong and some kind of chew toy. Can you explain some other items that you can keep them busy with while they're in the crate?
Absolutely. So we have you can have nylon bones, of course a stuffed Kong. Those kind of toys last a little bit longer. Stuff like the licky plate, we do want to come back to. We don't want them tearing up the licky plate or frisbee or something like that. Stuffed toys are another one. We have to keep in mind, whenever we do have these toys in the crate, it reminds us to revisit that crate to make sure that they're not destroying that toy or having a hazard with the toy, such as like taking the squeaker out, choking on the squeaker, or with bones, they're not breaking off pieces of the bones. So that's why we do want to come back and monitor them in the crate as well. So
those aren't necessarily items you would put in when you're putting your pet away before you go to work and you're gone for 8 hours in a day or something like that?
No, for that, I like to keep it with a little bit of the tougher toys, like the Kongs or the nylon bones.
And just making sure you're checking those nylon bones too, making sure that they're not, flaking off into large pieces or anything like that. Always, you always want to inspect your pet's toys every other day or so to make sure that there's no pieces that they could possibly choke on coming off or anything like that. So.
You can also leave them in the crate with stuff that's edible, pieces of chicken or like a bully stick or a little rawhide, something like that they'll consume, and we don't have to worry about them breaking apart or something like that.
Well, those are really great tips, Finn. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add on, crate training or how to make it a positive experience for you and your pet?
Just patience with crate training. When you're first in coming into that tool, make sure it's positive. Keep the brief sessions, and then we can slowly work up with the sessions with the use of other tools such as Kongs and stuff like that. Incorporate a lot of things. The crate is such a great versatile tool. It keeps the dogs safe as well as allows them to have their alone zone and have them calm down and be in a safe spot. They're not chewing up stuff and being destructive in the house. So
well, thank you so much, Sven, and thanks again for joining us for this episode of Waggin Wednesday. Be sure to tune in next week, and remember, if you guys have any questions on any training or behavior with your pets or anything like that, please feel free to submit it in the comments below, and we'll definitely cover them in a future episode. But for now, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.